was the accountable, and then our third episode was becoming the right person, and then we had the fourth episode, which was what is love. Pastor Joseph was taking us through that, and then I took you again through another episode, our fifth episode, which was making love a vow, and then our sixth episode, boys to men, gentleman's club, and then our seventh episode was the wedding meal, and then last week we were having the episode, the wedding meal, a conversation, a dialogue. It was some kind of benchmark with this wonderful couple, Mr. and Mrs. Benson, who are pastors leading Trinity Chapel Judah. And again, this particular afternoon, I want us to take another episode, which is our acting episode, our last acting episode under the same series, The Talk. Our tagline is what untravels the mysteries of the human heart. Is it love? Is it sex? Is it dating? And I bless the Lord for such wisdom. I bless the Lord for such, enlightenment. I bless the Lord that He has enabled us. We can learn, that has opened our eyes to gather wisdom, to gather knowledge, that together we've been learning, we've been growing from one level to another. He has been catapulting us to realms that we've never been, and narratives upon our lives are changing. Our mindset, the phronesis, is being revolutionized. Like God is working out our life from the inside, working from our hearts. And so that leads me to our subject case of the day, which I've tagged the I word. The I word, I for intimacy, the I word. And with that, shall we pray? Father, you are faithful, you are mighty, and you are glorious. There is none to be compared to you. John chapter 6 and verse 63, your word says, the spirit quickens and the flesh profits nothing. The word that I give unto you is spirit and is life. How we pray that this particular hour, even as we learn, even as we partake of the bread of life, thy word, O Father, that we may be quickened, that our understanding, the narratives we believe, the systems of the world that we have embraced may be changed from our lives, that we can become better, that we can grow, that your wisdom may be our portion, O Lord. Glorify yourself even in this hour. In the name of Jesus, we bless you, Father. In Jesus' mighty name, we give thanks. And thus, take us then to Genesis. Kindly just take a Bible and take a notebook, and as the Spirit prompts you, you can note down some nuggets that can help you in future. Not just for you, but for your sisters, for your siblings, and for your kids too. You never know. Genesis chapter 4 and verse 1, the Bible says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife. And Adam knew Eve, his wife. And she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Now, if you haven't borrowed the Bible, that's the Bible. Kindly just underline, underline, or just take a pencil and draw a line across the word male, or circle male. And Adam knew Eve, his wife. And she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Okay, I just say that our series, this episode for tonight is the I word, and I say I is for intimacy. So there's an understanding about intimacy that's very wrong, and we've embraced it. But this particular moment, I want us to check back, to unlearn and learn and gain a new understanding and gain a new perspective of the same. What is intimacy, or what entails intimacy? I'll say intimacy usually denotes mutual vulnerability, openness, and sharing. Intimacy denotes mutual vulnerability, openness, and sharing. Like intimacy is often present in love relationships. It's often present in marriages. It's often present in friendships that are so cordial, that they are so connected. The term intimacy has been used a bigger percentage at a higher range to denote sexual interactions. But know this for me, but intimacy doesn't have to be a sexual relation. It doesn't have to be that. Though we have embraced many times when we hear about being intimate, intimacy, we think about sexual relations, but intimacy ain't just about having a sexual relation. The term intimacy uh, can be vital and very vital in maintaining a healthy relationship. It can be very vital in maintaining, a healthy relationship, because we are social beings and God designed us to be social beings. We can't live isolated. We can't just create our heavens and our lonesome worlds and just live there by ourselves. We have to interact. You have to talk to a brother. You have to talk to a sister. You have to meet somebody and you speak out. So it's just a word that is said, or rather defines, or rather binds an interaction which is so mutual, which is can be defined by a connectedness that is beyond word. That is beyond word. So if intimacy is this important, then how many types of intimacies do we have? I'll say because we are social creatures, to my understanding, and my research has led me to noting down or to understand 4 types of intimacy. And the first one is experiential intimacy. Experiential intimacy. Now, experiential intimacy is born, out of leisure. Bonding that takes place, or rather is achieved at leisure times. You go out for a picnic, you meet a friend, and you just, start talking, you exchange contacts, and you bond, That's how it's born, experiential. And then we have emotional intimacy. Now, this one is where you meet somebody and you just click, There are things that you haven't even told your brothers, but this particular person, this particular brother, this particular sister knows about them. You speak out your feelings, you share out your thoughts, you share out your ideas in a level that men, around your sphere of contact, your family have never known, have never heard of. And then we have intellectual intimacy, where you disagree to agree. But at the end of it, you just bond together. You share out your ideas, you share out your thoughts, but you remain so close. No matter the disagreements, it's not so much about agreeing, but even in your disagreements, still you remain bonded and you remain close. And then we have sexual intimacy that many of us know about it. That is when people engage in sensual relations. When you engage, a man and a female engage in sensual relationships, sexual interactions. Now, sexual intimacy is born. But many times, people use the word intimacy referring to just what I spoke about, sexual intimacy. Sexual intimacy. And that tells us then there is a correlation. There is an entanglement between sexual experiences and intimacy, or rather, I'll say there is a correlation between sex and intimacy. And so the question then is, what is the correlation? What is the entanglement? What joins, or rather, what brings together sex and intimacy? What is this correlation? Before I answer that, I'd like us to go back to our text where we just read about. The Bible speaks about, Adam knew Eve. And I said you underline the word knew, because the kind of word used here as knew is the Hebrew word yada. The Hebrew word yada. Now, yada here speaks about not just mutual bonding, but to be fully known. To be fully known to the other. To be fully known to the other as you get to know them fully. That is not just carnally, but also in spirit. Like getting intimate. So you are fully known, not just physically, but you are fully known socially. You are fully known, emotionally. You are fully known intellectually. You are fully known spiritually. And the same, likewise, you get to know the other person. So yada can also speak, or rather, yada can also mean or define to us getting to know somebody sexually. So as you see what happened between Adam and Eve, we realize the Bible speaks about Adam knowing Eve. And there's this choice of words that the Bible uses which are so descriptive, or rather conceals hidden meanings from within. The Bible speaks about Adam knew Eve. Adam knew Eve. So we get to know that after the woman was taken from the rib of a man, and that speaks about sensitivity, being fed to the flesh, sensitivity being fed to the flesh. It happened that they got intimate. Adam knew Eve. There is the fact about good and evil. So he knew Eve, not just physically. I know about, this bone of flesh of my flesh. She's a woman. That is a man with a womb. I know about that. But knew, the one he had, conceals, also a hidden meaning that Adam knew Eve sexually. And the command was, to subdue the earth and fill the earth. So they had to get intimate. Fill the earth and subdue it. Fill the earth. I'm trying to get something here. Fill the earth and subdue it. We see that Genesis chapter 4 begins with, the command of a man and a woman, starting to carry out God's initial plan, or rather initial command. And, filling the earth with their seed wouldn't just be by knowing spiritually, or rather by knowing intellectually, or rather by just knowing emotionally. So that then led to what I was tagging as a concealed mystery, a concealed understanding that they had to get intimate, they had to come together under sexual interaction, that seed could come forth and fill the earth, that their seed could come forth. And this then makes us understand that, Adam had sexual relation with his wife Eve, and then she conceived. When I speak about getting intimate in the closet with the Spirit of God, the same thing that happens when a couple gets intimate is the same mystery that's revealed, or rather manifested, when you get intimate with the Spirit of God. Spiritual, a seed from the womb, the Spirit is deposited upon us. Now, it can be a divine idea, just, a revolutionary idea, a revelatory experience that catapults your life to another realm, that, opens up your world to a dimension that you've never been before, that you begin to see things differently. If you're a minister, then that's how spiritual babies are born. Like, you say, this is my son in faith. You don't just go out there and win souls. No, there must be a battle won first in the closet before it happens. Hallelujah. So the same happens, or rather the same happened when this couple came together. So we realized that this was the genesis of sex. But was it also the genesis of intimacy? Was it also the genesis of intimacy? Because we realized that they got intimate. What's the understanding there? As I was asking, what's the correlation then? Is sex intimacy, or rather, is intimacy sex? Most of us have grown up to understand these things in a different way. And we have grown up to the 15-minute talk from our parents, whereby, they just sit you down, and because they saw you standing with some boy, or they saw you standing with some girl somewhere, and they sit you down and tell you, no, this ain't good, this ain't good, this ain't good. But we know that 15 minutes is not enough to tame masculinity. 15 minutes is not enough to tame character. 15 minutes is not enough to build a legacy of a child, or rather of a life. It doesn't matter whether male or female. So we grew up to this narrative that we ought to go out and experience for us to learn, because experience is the best teacher. Forgetting that some of these things ain't not to be experienced for them to be learned. They are concealed to some level. They are levels. It's like there's no skipping class here. You ought to grow one level, one dimension to another. You ought to grow, one level to another. There are steps that are supposed to be taken rather than just experiencing. And because of experience then being the best teacher, we find that we have lost many young adults. We have lost a young generation to pornography. We have lost a young generation to masturbation. We have lost a young generation to gazing. We have lost a young generation to bestiality. We have lost a young generation to lesbianism, simply because of what we have embraced, that experience is the best teacher. Sex has been taught and explained to us as just intercourse. Trying to say, it's not more than physical. Like, sex is just physical. It's like somebody telling you, drink responsibly. It's like saying, have sex responsibly. But we forget that when it comes to sex, the Bible says that sin You know, there are sins that you do outside the flesh, but when it comes to such stuff like adultery and fornication, there are some sins that hurt not just your physical body, but they work out your soul, you know. They reduce you. They bring you down from some level that you are with God. And they leave you with an emptiness that nothing can bring a balance to. That nothing, you know. It doesn't matter what you try and do, alcohol. So you will try and try and try. You know, you think, she left me or he left me. Maybe because of what we did together. So I'll try and find somebody else who can come and fill this void. And then when you try and go out there, you find yourself building up altars and you become void, you know, from within, and you become desolate. And darkness fills you. And unless the light of Christ is shone upon you, then you remain desolate, you remain in darkness, and you remain void. And nothing can take you out of that apart from Christ. Praise the name of the Lord. So honest, are we then dealing with sex, or are we dealing with intimacy? I'll address this by saying to us that when we learn what sex is not, then we will understand what intimacy is. Unless we learn what sex is not, then we ain't gonna learn what intimacy is, because sex ain't just physical. It ain't at all. Our culture works hard, you know, to perpetuate, or rather to make us understand that sex is just physical, you know, it's just physical. It's just like satisfying some desires, some needs that you have. But biblically, you know, as a born again, one with the fear of God, you come to understand that it's not just physical. And why am I saying that is because we realize that it is so difficult. It is so difficult to bring a couple together that has been broken by infidelity. It's very difficult to restore back a couple that has been broken by cheating. They say he was unfaithful. She was unfaithful. Why is it so difficult, you know, to bring back two lovebirds who are so in love at first, just because somebody cheated, you know, somebody went out of their way sexually with somebody else. You know, if sex was just physical, why then do people care so much and they get hurt so much when they realize that they've been cheated by a friend or by a spouse who went out of their way and had a sexual relation with somebody else? Why is it so much important then for the singles, you know, for us young adults, trying to learn about the sexual experiences of the person you are seeing, you know, the past experiences? Why so much jealous, you know? Why is seeking to know so much about them, if they kept themselves or not? If it was just physical, you know, if sex was just physical, why do you get broken so much when they usually leave you? Well, why do you get hurt so much and call them all names, you know? And some of us get even to depression when she walks away from you. It's simple because sex is not physical. There is an intangible component that is attached to it. There is an intangible component that is fixed from within, that you can't separate it from it, you know. And it's hard to define it. It's so hard to separate what we're trying to call physical sex from the intangible component that's attached to it. That's why anytime and every time we speak about my body, you know, he played with my body, then we prove, or rather we affirm, that there is an intangible component that is from within and lives in that particular body. When you speak about my body, that means you're trying to prove that it's not physical. He played with your body. She played with your body. That means you live in that body. There is a triune part of you. There is the spirit part of you. There is the soul part of you. And there is the body part of you. So when they mess up with you, you know, when they spoil around with you, when they play around with you, they ain't just playing around with your body. So it's no longer physical. It's no longer physical. It touches your soul. It touches your spirit. You know, it goes deep somewhere that you can't even speak by words. So you just remain to yourself and you claim my body, because your sexuality is inexorably linked to an physical part of you. Yeah, we're still on intimacy. I'm not trying to go off because we are still on intimacy. I just want us to, to get to understand it from the genesis of it and how everything happens. Husbands feel so much betrayed when their wives, go out in adultery, It divides them. It divides them. They feel asunder. They feel split. The Bible says, after the vows, let only death, and we know the sting of death is so painful. But why is something else? We break many vows, and I've had couples break many vows in their marriage relationship. In their oneness, they break many vows. But when it comes to this one, now this one thing, it's dangerous. Nobody wants to understand. Nobody wants to get it straight. Why? Why is so much attached to it that it takes it higher, that it takes it far beyond, that it takes it deeper than just being physical? Why is it so much connected to it? It's not physical. It is non-physical. Why is this non-physical component then? Because it runs deeper. It runs deeper. It isolates you. It makes you feel like the world knows about your sin. It makes you feel like, the world doesn't love you anymore. Like everybody hates you. And you think like, every man is the same or every sister is the same. And, you just hold back to your solitude, and you pull back to your inner closet and hide. And that's how this depression is born. Because our sexuality influences and informs every aspect of our lives. I want you to note that down. Our sexuality influences and informs every aspect of our lives. Many times, if you can mirror it down, it affects your mind, it affects your brain, it affects your heart, it affects your system, like the entire system. How you walk, how you work out your life, how you do stuff. It just affects everything. How you think. You no longer see things straight. You no longer see stuff the way it's supposed to be seen. Why? What happened? If it were just physical, where was the button pressed that it wasn't supposed to be pressed, that it led to so much hurt, that it leads man, to so much hurt? We know, we make so mega decisions in life. We decide so many things in life, but when it comes to our sexualities and the decisions we make about it, we realize that apart from the many sins that we do as young people, we realize that our sexual decisions follow us all through our life. We live regretting all through our life. And as we get older, they become so much real. And we are so much sold. In thoughts that I couldn't have done this. I wish I knew this when I was this age. I wish somebody had told me this. I wish my father, I wish my mother had told me this. And we are so much, sold in such thoughts and feeding our past at the expense of our future. If sex was physical, why is it so much hunting? Why is it so much confining? Why is it so much, bringing us back? Not even your career, not even, your academic performances, not even your financial decisions dictates your future, but your relations, they predict how you live your life and how you do stuff. So, brothers and sisters, while we think, all things aren't working because of physicality, while we think so much that, we're limited because of physicality and purpose and destiny, we forget that there is a strangle component in us that causes limitation. That is when it comes to love, sex, and dating. There is a component in us that is strangled and is denied life And many times we never know about it. And when I speak about this component, I speak about intimacy. You find, and many of us find difficult to believe this, but you have an appetite for intimacy. What you are looking for, even when you meet them, what you are looking for when you meet her, what you are looking for when you meet him, ain't sex. What you are looking for is intimacy. But many times, we fail to realize this, and we keep ourselves out to be abused. Yet, what you're looking for is something else. Now, because of ignorance, or rather I'll say not ignorance, because of lack of knowledge, the Bible says, my people perish. Because of such understanding being limited, or rather, because of such understanding not being made evident in our lives, that we have not been awakened to a reality of who we are and how God wired us to be, then we realize that we can't define what intimacy is. We can't tell what it is. So many times we are in need of something, but we don't know what it is. And at the ideal end, we realize at the ideal end of the spectrum, intimacy, or rather knowing full and being known full, is what we all live to seek out for. We all live to reach out to. We all live, to speak out to people that we can get, that we can feel it, that we can achieve it. But the problem is, we think that sex can give that to us. It's like going to a museum, trying to find yogurt. It's like going out, for Jesus. We in Mombasa, we know for Jesus. It's like going out to for Jesus or a national archive and trying to find candy. You're trying to find candy. Ain't gonna get it there. So we're trying to use the wrong path, expecting us to be led to the right platforms. Or rather, we are using the wrong channel, and yet we expect us to accomplish purpose and fulfill destiny. And that's not how it's supposed to be. Allow me to submit to us that this is difficult with men, but it's so easier with sisters. It's difficult with men to unleash, or rather to unravel this mystery about intimacy, but it's so easy with sisters. That's why in a broken marriage, in a broken relationship, men think that it's by sex that the marriage will work, it's by sex that the relationship will work. But with sisters, they think in a different way. They think like, we need to sit down and talk. We need to start going out as we used to be. We just need to redefine this thing and do things in a different way. But men, we think different. We think, and we are so much limited in our thinking, and we think we are right. We think our thoughts are right. And because of that, they submit to us. And because they love, they submit to you. And you end up, instead of making it up, you lose it. You lose her. You break her heart. She ain't contented. You lose her. And somebody else wins her. So, the thought of knowing someone fully and being fully known to someone, or rather, being accepted, has an appeal that's often lost on us guys. Like, we just lost in this understanding. We just lost in this aspect of knowledge. We think fully knowing is, having sex. We think fully knowing is just having her around you. No, we are lost in that. Even though all of us are not denied of intimacy, we yearn for it, but it is so much concealed from us, men, and so much revealed unto our sisters. While we, I want to note this down, while we may not be actively looking for it, we are inwardly longing for it. While we may not be actively looking for intimacy, we are inwardly longing for it. And there's a significant and mysterious connection between one's sexual experience and one's capacity to experience relational intimacy. There is a significant and mysterious connection. While we think we are looking for it and we miss it, the truth is we are longing for it, but we don't know the path. So the vital connection is completely ignored in our cultural celebration of sexual experiences. The only place you'll hear about this, the only place you'll hear about this being discussed is by a clergy in church. And many times, they don't even speak about it. They speak about prosperity, which ain't bad, but I believe the meal has to be balanced, or else you'll be malnourished. So you just live on one way, you'll pursue one cause, and you'll be losing on the other. And that's how it happens. That's how it happens. We go home hoping to prosper, but yet the longing part in us that is void and desolate has not been touched, cannot be filled, and we don't know the path on how it can be quenched. So we remain limited. We remain limited because how we're trying to find it by sex ain't gonna get it, because sex isn't just physical. And if we try then to treat it as physical, we undermine what I'm saying, one's capacity. We undermine our capacities to fulfill, or rather to quench, the longing aspect in us. The longing aspect in us. My brother or my sister, we realize, or rather allow me to submit to us that your potential for relational intimacy, is inexorably linked to a sexual experience. What am I trying to say here? That is, many of us have driving licenses, but we don't know how to change a punctured tire. So nobody taught us that, and we always think it's never important until we encounter flat tire. That's where it dawns to us that I might have, I would have learned this. Somebody could have told me this, how it is done and everything. And the same it happens with our lives. The same it happens with our sexual experiences. Until we hit the wrong note, until we miss it big, then we realize that I wish somebody could have told me. And as we know, if wishes were horses, even beggars will ride. So it dawns to us a big time, and many times when we already messed up, when we have already lost our purity, and we are so much lost in the world. That is, even coming back, it takes deliverance, takes the hand of God. Because our gangs, the people that we are living around, the people that we are working together,